Section 1. Hey guys, tonight we're tiptoeing into something a little different. A betrayal not from a stranger, but from the people who gave you your name, packed your school lunches, and once clapped at your third grade spelling bee. You're standing barefoot in the kitchen of your brand new house. The floors are cold but sleek. The granite countertop practically gleams, and the faint echo of your laughter from a phone call 5 minutes ago still lingers in the air. This is the dream. You've worked overtime for years, eaten way too many sad desk salads, and finally got the keys to your very own place. But what you don't know yet, what's quietly brewing like the leftover chili your parents insisted on bringing over, is that your name on this deed has stirred something ancient and territorial in your family. You probably won't survive this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, drop your location and local time in the comments. I always love seeing where you're tuning in from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into the night's journey together. You crack open a beer, glance around the space, and let yourself exhale. It's the kind of sigh that belongs in a commercial, complete with soft music and some slow-motion pouring of a drink. The housewarming party is tomorrow, and you're thinking about where to put the folding chairs your mom swore she'd bring, just in case your furniture's not enough for the guests. Classic. She and Dad helped move a few boxes in earlier today. Your sister, meanwhile, showed up late with a flat congrats, her smile looking more like someone lost a bet. You chalked it up to stress, maybe traffic. Maybe she's mad about the driveway already having oil stains, though. Frankly, that's on your car and not hers. Later that night, you scroll through a few texts in the family group chat. Dad sent a thumbs-up emoji when you shared a photo of the kitchen. Your mom wrote, "Can't believe how grown up you are." It should feel warm, but something about it nags at the back of your neck, like when your sweater tag is just a little too sharp. By morning, you've got fresh muffins your neighbor dropped off, a coffee brewing, and a to-do list that includes find where I pack socks. That's when you get a call. It's your mom. No greeting, just a question. Do you remember what we talked about? This house? Don't you think it should have gone to your sister? You freeze. There's no context, no how are you, just that. You respond cautiously. Mom, I bought this place. Myself. She hums in that passive-aggressive way that would make diplomats start sweating. Sure, but we were going to help her buy it. We just assumed, well, you knew we were saving it for her. You want to say something sharp. Instead, you mutter, assumed you never said a word. She clicks her tongue. Don't be defensive. We just think it's fair. Your sister's been through a lot, and your job is more stable. It's not just your coffee that's going cold now. By lunchtime, your dad joins in, calls you voice calm and bureaucratic. We were surprised when you closed on the house so fast, he says. We're not mad, but maybe it's time to revisit things, legally. You blink. Legally. Did he just use that word? Turns out he did. You get the first official letter 3 days later, folded in thirds, typed in Times New Roman and signed by a real lawyer. Your parents are suing you. They claim you usurped property that was promised to your sister in a verbal agreement and suggest the house technically belongs to her. You sit on your empty couch still waiting for your Amazon lamp to arrive, holding that letter like it's an ancient scroll from some cursed tomb. To distract yourself, you open a tab and Google, can your parents sue you for property they don't own? The results. Confusing. Slightly horrifying. Some judge in Michigan once ruled in favor of a woman who sued her son over a garage. Another family in Oregon fought over a timeshare for 7 years. Historians still argue whether ancient Roman family units were more or less dramatic than ours, but one thing's for sure, nothing makes people lose their minds faster than property lines and family expectations. And while you're no Caesar, you're suddenly feeling like someone's about to stab you figuratively in the rotunda of your living room. Section 2. You don't go to the housewarming party. You cancel it quietly, texting friends some vague excuse about plumbing stuff. You don't mention the real leak, the one that sprung in your family's foundation, dripping betrayal onto every childhood memory you've ever tried to preserve. Instead, you stand alone in the kitchen that night, microwaving leftover pizza and watching the sauce bubble like lava over the crust. Your phone buzzes. A message from your sister. I didn't ask them to do this. No greeting, no emoji. Just that. You hover over the keyboard, unsure how to respond. Do you thank her? Confront her? Ask what she did say to get this started. Instead, you set the phone down and step out onto the porch. It's cold for spring. Somewhere in the distance, someone's dog barks 3 times like clockwork. You remember weirdly a history documentary you once saw on Napoleon, how he declared himself emperor while people clapped from balconies, some because they believed in him, others because they were afraid not to. Historians still argue whether he truly understood the scale of betrayal that comes from within. The kind that doesn't feel like a knife, but like someone quietly moving all the furniture in your life half an inch to the left until nothing feels right. The next day you go to dinner at your parents' house. It's supposed to be civil, as your dad says, a calm conversation. But from the moment you walk in, something feels off. Your sister barely looks at you. She fiddles with her fork like it's a violin bow. Your mom is oddly cheerful, the kind of brittle happy that makes you brace for bad news. She serves lasagna, your favorite, a peace offering, or a bribe. So your dad begins, we just want to clarify things. You brace yourself, carving into the lasagna like it might explode. We feel he continues that since we intended to help your sister buy that house. I bought it myself, you cut in as calmly as you can. Well, technically, we contributed to your college tuition. Your mom says, smiling, like she's got receipts. Oh, you say your voice thinning. We're playing that game. Your sister finally looks up. They just feel like this was always the plan. I didn't know they were going to sue you. You blink, but you're okay with it. She shrugs. I've been waiting 3 years for them to help me get a place. You swooped in and got it first. You feel something inside you flicker. Not break, just flicker. The way the lights do when someone turns on the vacuum upstairs. Quirky historical fact: in medieval England, inheritance could be denied if a child dishonored the family. That included marrying the wrong person, joining the wrong church, or apparently buying the wrong house. You take another bite of lasagna. It's good, really good. It tastes like a Last Supper. When the meal ends, you help wash dishes. Your mom hands you a towel like everything's normal, like they didn't just accuse you of theft in court documents. That night you call a lawyer, yours, real estate guy, wears bow ties. Name's Eric, and he sounds perpetually like he's chewing on a legal pad. Yeah, you're gonna want to file a response within 21 days, he says. They're going for unjust enrichment, claiming your gain came at their loss. You sit back in the home office that still smells like cardboard. Can they do that? He snorts. People can sue over anything. Doesn't mean they'll win. But they're my parents, you whisper. He pauses. Yeah, that part's rough. You hang up and stare at the wall, the blank one you were going to put your travel photos on. Now, all you see is a battlefield. Napoleon probably sat in a tent like this once, staring at maps, wondering which cousin was about to switch sides. You think back to the time your sister borrowed your Game Boy and never gave it back. Petty, sure, but you never forgot. You just never thought it'd escalate into something involving court fees and affidavits. A few days later, another letter arrives. Your parents' lawyer has doubled down. Now they're alleging intentional misrepresentation, claiming you rushed to buy the house knowing it would displace the family's plans. It reads like fan fiction for a family drama that never aired on TV. You forward it to Eric, who replies, they're reaching. But prepare for a circus. You don't even laugh. Not this time. You sit in your still boxed-up living room and wonder when everything got so fragile. And somewhere deep down, a new fear begins to bloom, Not that you'll lose the house, but that you've already lost your family. Section 3. You wake up earlier than usual the next morning. Not from a sense of purpose, just the kind of anxious static that hums under your skin like a phone left buzzing face down. It's barely 6 a.m., but you're wide-eyed staring at the ceiling remembering every time your parents said, "We just want what's best for you." Apparently best had a footnote you never saw. You head to the kitchen, make toast, and try to pretend your appetite isn't missing in action. The lawyer texts you. Court date's been set. You're being taken to small claims first, an attempt at mediation. But the language in their documents reads like a declaration of war. You reread one sentence over and over. The defendant willfully interfered with familial expectations by acquiring property under false pretense. False pretense you want to scream, or cry, or both. But you do neither. Instead, you sip your coffee and scroll through your sister's social media. She's just posted a throwback photo, her in a ball gown, your parents on either side proud and glowing. The caption, "Everything we planned is finally coming together." It gets 27 likes in 2 hours, including your mother. Your phone pings again, this time, a message from your cousin Jake. "What's going on with your parents? Grandma's freaking out." And now the ripples begin. You'd hope this would stay quiet, a family matter behind closed doors. But nothing involving lawsuits ever whispers, it shouts. You flash back to your childhood kitchen, your mom yelling at you for spilling juice on the white carpet, your dad grounding you for sneaking out, your sister crying because you got to hold the puppy first. None of it was unusual, just family stuff. But now in hindsight, it feels like Exhibit A in a case you never realized was being built. At work, you're a mess. Your emails are typo-ridden. You call a client by the wrong name in a meeting. Someone asks if you're okay and you nod like a bobblehead. You remind yourself of something your high school history teacher once said, "Property is power, but family is legacy." When the two collide, someone always gets crushed. Historians still argue whether Genghis Khan's descendants kept peace because of shared blood or shared land. Either way, the property stayed in the family. And so did the grudges. That night, you visit your parents' house uninvited. You want to look them in the eye, face to face. Your mom answers the door with a strange smile, like you're a surprise party she wasn't ready for. You ask bluntly, "Why are you doing this?" She sighs, "Because your sister deserves it more." Deserves what? The life you're living. You blink. "I earned this life. She had a harder time," your dad chimes in coming down the hallway. "You always had more support." You look around at the house you grew up in. The hallway where you tripped running to the bathroom. The kitchen where you scraped your knee falling off a stool. The living room where you cried after your first breakup. You were supported here but not favored. You laugh softly. "You supported me just enough to make me feel guilty for being successful." Your sister appears behind them. "This isn't about punishment," she says. "It's about fairness." Quirky historical fact, in 18th century Iceland land was often passed on to daughters when sons moved to sea. The system didn't collapse. People just adjusted. But this isn't adjustment. This is erasure. You tell them you won't settle, that you'll fight this, that if they want to burn a bridge, they better bring marshmallows. Your mom's voice wavers. "We're doing this because we love you both." "Then love me less," you say, "because this doesn't feel like love." You turn and walk out. It's a cinematic exit kind of, except your shoelace is untied and you nearly trip. Which honestly is on brand. Your life is falling apart, but at least gravity's still working. You drive home in silence, the radio off headlights, catching dust and fog and old regrets. You wonder how many other people have gone through this. How many siblings have become rivals because their parents made love a competition. And you can't help but think, if love is conditional, was it ever really love Section 4? You spend the next week inside your own head. You still go to work, still answer emails, still brush your teeth, and occasionally remember to eat, but it's all autopilot. Like someone else is living in your skin, fumbling the controls while the real you watches from a soundproof box. Your lawyer Eric files your formal response. We'll show the purchase was entirely legal and independent. He says his voice like an NPR host who's just read a very confusing recipe. But you'll need to gather every receipt, bank statements, transfer logs, anything showing your sister wasn't part of this transaction. So you start digging. You become a historian of your own life. You unearth the Zillow listing, the down payment receipt, the saved text with your real estate agent. You even find the photo you sent your mom of the offer paperwork where she replied yay with 3 clapping emojis. That same message is now part of the evidence packet. Historians still argue whether Cleopatra manipulated her public image more through politics or through performance. But either way, she knew the power of a well-timed letter. You find yourself reading your mom's old texts like they're hieroglyphs, every emoji now a potential lie, every love you a possible strategic move. Then on a particularly gray Tuesday you get a call. The court date's been bumped. Sooner. 3 days from now. You exhale slowly, not because you're ready, but because waiting longer would have just been another form of slow-motion drowning. That night, you sit in your backyard, the one you'd planned to fill with string lights and a grill and late-night laughter. The grass is patchy. A squirrel is screaming at no one from a fence post. But it's quiet and yours. Your neighbor Miss Marlene pokes her head over the fence. 68 wears house slippers everywhere, has a collection of garden gnomes that outnumber her relatives. "You all right, kid?" she asks, eyes squinting. You tell her vaguely about the lawsuit, about the betrayal, about how your sister's claiming a house she never bought, and your parents are acting like they're Solomon about to split the baby. Miss Marlene nods unimpressed. "Third one I've seen on this street. Families turn mean when money shows up." She gestures toward her garden. "My sister tried to sue me over a rhubarb patch once. Claimed it was on her side of the line. You know what I did?" You wait unsure whether this will be helpful or horticultural. "I painted the patch neon orange. Said she could have it. Never touched it again. It died in 2 weeks." She leans in. Petty wins sometimes, but peace feels better. Quirky historical tidbit in 9th century France property disputes were sometimes settled by trial by combat or occasionally by reciting obscure legal incantations while barefoot in a river. You thank Marlene. Not because her advice solved anything, but because it reminded you that absurdity has always been part of human history. Back inside, you open your old family photo albums. It's late and you're looking for answers in glossy prints and creased Polaroids. One picture catches your eye, you and your sister ages 6 and 4 in front of your childhood treehouse. You're both smiling genuinely. She's wearing your jacket and you're holding a flashlight like a trophy. You flip the photo over. In your mom's handwriting, the explorers, always together. You set it down. Something soft stirs in your chest like the first sigh after holding your breath too long. You remember birthdays, movie nights, the way your sister once held your hand under the table during a thunderstorm. The lawsuit doesn't erase those memories, but it redraws their outlines. The day before court, you rehearse what you'll say. You stare in the mirror, muttering phrases like, "I bought this house legally, and there was no prior agreement." You practice not flinching when you say your sister's name. You practice not crying when you think of your mother on the witness stand. You go to bed early. The sheets are cold. You dream you're underwater swimming toward a house that keeps moving farther away every time you reach out. And when you wake up, it's court day. Your parents will be in the same room, your sister too. It'll be a reunion, just one with bailiffs and bad fluorescent lighting. You dress like someone who deserves to be believed. Section 5. The courthouse smells like a mix of lemon cleaner and old photocopies. You've never noticed before, but now that you're here as a defendant against your own parents, every detail feels surgically sharp. The way the floor tiles squeak beneath cheap shoes. The way the security guard doesn't look at you but still seems to judge. You sit stiffly on a bench outside the small claims courtroom. Your lawyer Eric is beside you quietly reviewing notes. He sips coffee that smells like it's been reheated 4 times. You wish you could slip out and pretend none of this happened. But here you are. The door opens. A clerk calls your names. All of them. Yours, your sister's, your parents'. You rise, walk in, and suddenly, your life is a procedural drama with no commercial breaks. Your parents sit across from you. Your mom is wearing pearls like, this is Sunday Mass. Your dad's in a blazer you haven't seen since your cousin's wedding. Your sister doesn't look at you. Her lawyer whispers something in her ear. The judge, a middle-aged man with tired eyes and a voice like gravel and cinnamon, starts the session. Your lawyer goes first. Calm, methodical, laying out documents like breadcrumbs leading to common sense. This is a case of legal property acquisition. No verbal or written agreement promising the house to the plaintiff exists. All financial transactions were conducted by my client alone. The plaintiffs contributed nothing to the purchase. This is a clear-cut case of ownership. Then your parents' lawyer stands. She's got a haircut that could slice glass and a tone that could shame a dragon. There was an implied family understanding that the house was to be reserved for the daughter who had been in ongoing discussions with the plaintiffs regarding co-investment. The defendant acted prematurely and without proper consideration of this familial understanding. The judge squints. So you're arguing he should give up legal property because of a family conversation. The lawyer doesn't blink. Yes, Your Honor. Your mom is called to testify. You brace yourself. She takes the stand like she's stepping into a confessional booth. Her voice is soft. We just thought he knew. He knew this house was meant for her. We didn't expect him to go behind our backs. It felt like betrayal. You feel your stomach knot. The judge asks, did you contribute any money to the purchase? She hesitates. No. Did you sign any agreement about this house? No. He nods. Noted. Now it's your turn. You walk to the stand. Every step feels like you're aging a year. You swear the floor tilts slightly like the courtroom itself is reluctant to hear you. You sit. The judge raises his eyes. Speak freely. So you do. I bought this house after years of saving. I didn't know they wanted it for my sister. They never told me. I thought they were proud. They celebrated it with me. Then I got a lawsuit instead of congratulations. The judge studies you. Do you believe your parents are doing this out of malice? You pause. I think they're doing it out of favoritism, which honestly might be worse. There's a flicker in your mom's face. Pain, maybe. Or guilt. Or just a flinch from being seen too clearly. Mainstream historical fact King Lear in Shakespeare's infamous play was based on a real British legend about a father dividing his kingdom among daughters only to be betrayed by the ones he trusted most. His downfall wasn't from his enemies. It was from his inability to understand his own children. Historians still argue whether Shakespeare intended Lear as a cautionary tale for rulers or for parents. The court breaks for lunch. You eat a granola bar in the hallway and stare at the vending machine wondering if it too would betray you. When court resumes, your sister speaks. Her voice is steady, polished. I never asked for the house, but I didn't stop them. Maybe I should have, but I thought if I didn't take it, it meant I was choosing to lose. And I'm tired of losing. It's the most honest thing she's said in years, and it stings. The judge reviews the documents again. You notice his fingers tapping slowly, rhythmically, like a metronome set to awkward tension. Finally, he speaks. There is no legal basis for the plaintiff's claim. The defendant owns the property in full. Case dismissed. You don't cheer. You don't cry. You just exhale. Your parents don't look at you. Your sister does briefly. Then she turns away. Outside the courthouse, Eric claps you on the back. Not bad, he says. You still have a house. Just maybe not a family. You nod. Can't live in both. That night, you unlock the front door of your home. Your home. It's quiet inside. the kind of quiet that used to feel peaceful. Now it just echoes. You sit on the floor surrounded by unopened boxes and questions. You won the case. But somewhere deep down, you wonder if you just lost the war. Section 6. You expect a clean break. You think maybe after the ruling things will settle, that your parents will back down, that your sister will reach out, maybe even apologize. But the silence that follows is heavier than anger. It's absence with weight. No texts, no calls. Just the sound of your own breathing when you wake up in the middle of the night, wondering what they're saying about you in group chats you're no longer part of. You start filling your house with noise music podcasts, even white noise generators. Anything to cover the silence. You finish unpacking, frame some photos. Try to build a life in this space that now carries both victory and estrangement like twin shadows. One afternoon, you're scrolling your phone when a headline catches your eye, when property becomes personal. The rise of family lawsuits over inheritance and real estate. You click. It's not just you. Turns out these stories are everywhere. A man in Ohio sued his niece over a storage unit. A woman in California took her own brother to court over a vacation condo. The article cites a 2023 survey. 22% of adult Americans say they've had serious financial disputes with family. Historians still argue whether the concept of family as a cohesive unit was ever real or just a convenient fiction societies leaned on for survival. What's clear now is that modern families break apart over things like mortgage rates and property lines more often than over moral failings. Your lawyer texts you a follow-up. They haven't filed an appeal. Clock's ticking if they plan to. You nod silently at your phone as if it can see you. The funny thing is, you still find yourself doing things you used to do for them. You mow the lawn because your dad always liked a neat yard. You clean the baseboards because your mom said it shows character. You hang wind chimes your sister once picked out at a flea market. And then you stop. Because this isn't a shrine. It's your house, your life, and you need to reclaim it. That weekend, you host your first real gathering. Just a few friends, a grill, mismatched chairs, and a playlist heavy on late 2000s nostalgia. One friend toasts you to new beginnings and to knowing when to let go. You smile, but you don't say anything, because you're still figuring out what letting go actually means. Later that night, as the last guest leaves you, step onto the back porch. The sky is clear. The moon is low and smug-looking, like it knows something you don't. You think about all the things your parents have said to you over the years about family, about loyalty, about expectations. How many of those things were truths, and how many were just tools to shape you? Quirky historical tidbit in 14th century Japan samurai sometimes adopted adult sons not for love, but for alliances. Blood wasn't the only bond. Sometimes inheritance was about trust. Sometimes it was about convenience. You never thought of your parents that way. But now, maybe you should have. A letter arrives the next week. From your parents. No legal header. Just a handwritten envelope in your mother's cursive. You hesitate before opening it, half expecting poison ivy to fly out like a cartoon. But it's just a card. The front has a watercolor of a house not yours but similar. Inside 3 lines. We didn't mean for it to go this far. We hope someday you'll understand. Love, Mom and Dad. No apology. No ownership. Just vague regret and an assumption that the burden of understanding will fall to you. You set the card down. Let it sit on the counter for 2 days before throwing it away. You don't tell your sister. You don't reply. Because some things don't need responses. Instead, you go to the hardware store. You buy paint deep blue for the living room, sage green for the hallway. Something that says, "This is mine." You come home and paint all weekend. Music blasting, arms aching, paint in your hair. And by the time Monday rolls around, your house looks different. Not just newer, not just fresh, but yours, fully, finally. Section 7. Weeks pass. You don't realize how much quieter your mind has gotten until you catch yourself humming while brushing your teeth. It's a dumb jingle from a commercial you hate, but it's something. A flicker of peace in a space that not long ago felt like it had been invaded by ghosts. No appeal comes. The case is officially closed. Your name is still on the deed. And slowly, your anxiety begins to unclench its claws. But then one day, while organizing the attic trying to decide what should be storage and what should just be trash, you find a box labeled in Sharpie family stuff. Keep. Inside are old papers, photos, school drawings, a Christmas card from 2001 where you wrote, I love you, Mom, even when you're grumpy. There's a copy of your sister's college graduation program, a ticket stub from the amusement park your parents took you both to after Dad got that promotion. And near the bottom, folded and worn, a letter, dated 4 years ago. To our children, when we're gone, we want things to be fair. This house, if it's ever ours to give, should go to the one who needs it most. That's always been the rule in this family. Not oldest, not favorite, just need. Love, Mom and Dad. You sit down on the dusty floor, letter in hand, brain spinning. This was before the lawsuit, before you bought the house, before need became a weapon in the courtroom. Did your parents forget this letter existed? Did they change their minds? Or did they always think your sister's struggle outweighed your effort? Historians still argue whether the Magna Carta, one of the earliest examples of written legal rights, was a sincere agreement or just a strategic move by desperate nobles. Either way, it set a precedent: put things in writing or risk losing everything. You don't know what to do with the letter. Part of you wants to mail it to them anonymously. Part of you wants to burn it and never look back. But instead, you fold it back up and place it in your desk drawer. Not because it holds power, just because it reminds you that even lies often begin as truths. That weekend, Miss Marlene invites you over for tea and gossip. She's back, she says, stirring honey into her cup like it's a potion. Your sister. Saw her at the co-op downtown, bought 3 bottles of wine and looked like she'd just fired her therapist. You don't know how to respond. You haven't seen your sister since court. You don't even know if she lives in the same city anymore. She looked tired, Marlene adds, like someone who just realized winning isn't the same as being right. That sentence lingers. You think about it the whole walk home. Winning isn't the same as being right. You didn't do anything wrong, but the fallout still scorched the earth. Quirky historical fact: in ancient Mesopotamia, legal disputes were often resolved by river ordeal. If the accused survived being thrown into a river, they were declared innocent. Justice was soaked in symbolism and maybe hypothermia. Back at home, you put the kettle on. As the water boils, you realize something strange: you don't feel angry anymore. Not like before. There's still disappointment, still grief. But the rage has ebbed, replaced by something duller, heavier, more manageable. You think about writing your sister, just one message, something short, but then you picture her reading it and feeling nothing, or worse, feeling victorious. So you don't write. Instead, you repaint the front door. It's small but bold and unapologetic red. The kind of color you see in movies where the character's finally taking control. It clashes a little with the brick, but you like it. It says, this house is not neutral ground. This house is yours. And even if the history behind it is messy and bruised, the future inside it is unwritten. Section 8. The seasons change faster than you expect. Fall blows in like it's got something to prove. Cool air, sharp sunlight, leaves crunching underfoot like old promises. You're raking the yard one Saturday morning when you hear someone call your name. You look up, squinting through the sunlight. It's your sister. She stands on the sidewalk, hands deep in her coat pockets, as if holding on to her own hesitation. Her expression is unreadable, somewhere between nervous and defensive, like she came here expecting a different version of you. You rest the rake against the porch. She steps forward, doesn't smile, doesn't speak for a second. Then, I'm not here to fight. You cross your arms. Good. I ran out of court dates. She exhales through her nose. Not quite a laugh, but close. I didn't know it would go that far, she says. The lawsuit. I thought it was just pressure, leverage. I didn't know they were serious until it was too late. You nod slowly. You didn't stop it either. No, she says. I didn't. There's a pause long enough for a squirrel to dart between you. Pause on the steps and run off nature's comedic timing never fails. She glances at the house. It's nice. It's mine. I know. You both fall silent again. You think of the letter you found, of her face in court, of how strange it is to be siblings with someone who feels like a stranger in your driveway. Do you regret it, you ask? The lawsuit, she says, or not getting the house? Either, she thinks. Sometimes. I don't know. I think I just wanted to win something. For once. You don't say what you're thinking, that your whole childhood felt like one long series of her wins, that her trophies were always shinier, her wounds always more bandaged, her mistakes more easily forgiven. Historians still argue whether Queen Elizabeth I truly loved her sister Mary or merely tolerated her for political convenience. Their rivalry shaped England's future. Family drama, it turns out, doesn't get left behind, it becomes history. You break the silence. So what now? She shrugs. I don't know. I'm not here to fix things. I just wanted to see it. Where you live. I guess I needed to know if it felt like a loss. And she smiles faintly. It doesn't. It feels like yours. That admission hits differently. Not like closure, but like the first stitch in a ripped seam. You nod. You want coffee? She looks surprised, then relieved. Yeah, I'd like that. Inside, she sits at your kitchen table, the one you built yourself, on a weekend, filled with YouTube tutorials and accidental splinters. She runs her finger along the wood grain. You always were better at finishing things, she says. Not everything you reply. I couldn't finish Monopoly without flipping the board. She snorts. Still can't. I played last month. Lost to a 7-year-old. You both laugh. It's awkward, rusty, but real. Quirky historical fact: in medieval Iceland, neighbors held a tradition called reconciliation feasts, where after a major dispute, families would literally break bread together to restore peace. No speeches, no apologies, just shared food. This isn't quite a feast. It's instant coffee and a plate of stale biscotti. But it's something. You talk for 20 minutes, nothing heavy, no emotional autopsies, just weather work Netflix. Then she stands to leave. I'm not saying everything's okay, she says. But maybe it doesn't have to stay broken forever. You nod. We'll see. She walks back down the path. You don't watch her go. Instead, you rinse the mugs and stand in your kitchen for a long time staring out the window. The house feels different again. Not haunted, not under siege, just lived in. Section 9. You spend the next few days watching the weather turn, as if the world outside your windows is trying to teach you something about patience. Rain taps the glass like a polite reminder. Change doesn't ask for permission. It just shows up. Your sister doesn't call again. You don't either. But the door feels a little less locked. Your parents, though, silence. You keep expecting an email, a text, something, but weeks pass and nothing comes. No, let's talk. No, we overreacted. No, we love you. Just void. It's weird how absence can fill a space more completely than presence ever could. You wonder what they tell people. Do they spin it into some vague falling out? Do they blame you? Say you took advantage, or do they just pretend none of it ever happened? Another photo quietly removed from the mantle. One night, while scrolling mindlessly through social media, you stumble on a quote. Sometimes the only closure you get is realizing you deserve better. It shouldn't hit so hard, but it does. Historians still argue whether the fall of the Roman Republic was inevitable or if a few reconciliations, a few dinner table talks could have slowed it down. But power doesn't like to share, and neither, it seems, does family pride. You go about your days. You replace the curtains. You install a new mailbox. You start keeping a basil plant alive on your kitchen sill, something that strangely feels like progress. Then, in a moment of curiosity or weakness, you drive by your parents' house, just once. It looks the same. The porch light's still shaped like a lantern. The curtains are still drawn like they're hiding state secrets. You don't stop, just drive by. But it feels like visiting a museum exhibit. Here lies the myth of a perfect family. A few days later, you attend a neighborhood block party. The community is small and people talk. Eventually, someone leans in and asks, "Hey, are you the one whose parents?" You nod. "Yeah, that's me." They pause. "That's rough." You smile. "It's quieter now." That's something. They nod and offer you a deviled egg. Quirky historical tidbit. In 17th century Germany, there were shame masks used in small communities, literal metal masks people were forced to wear for minor social infractions like gossip or family squabbles. Imagine being forced to publicly wear your mistakes. Nowadays, we just call that Facebook. After the party, you walk home under strings of leftover fairy lights, hands in your pockets, heart oddly light. You're not healed, but you're whole, and that's enough for now. Back home, you sit on the porch. The red door catches the light just right. You watch a couple walk past with a stroller, the baby inside, giggling at absolutely nothing. You smile at that too. You realize something strange: this house doesn't feel like a battlefield anymore. It feels like a beginning. And while your parents might never come back around, and your sister might never fully understand, you've started the one thing that matters most: your own version of home. Section 10. Months pass, and life begins to gather its own rhythm again. Not the old rhythm, the one from when you were trying to keep everyone happy, trying to exist in a family-shaped mold that never quite fit, but a new one. Your mornings start with quiet. Not silence, but intentional quiet. Coffee brewed slow curtains open to morning light. The basil plant now joined by mint and rosemary like a little green chorus. No arguments, no second guessing, no walking on eggshells that crack the moment you breathe wrong. It's peace, but the kind you earn, the kind you fight for. You catch yourself wondering sometimes on the walk to your mailbox, or when you pass your parents' old favorite bakery, if they think of you, if they regret anything, if they feel justified, if they even talk about it. And then you stop wondering, because their silence no longer holds you hostage. One Sunday, you clean out your junk drawer. It's a surprisingly emotional task. So many pens, so many rubber bands, so many lost paper clips and receipts from gas stations you'll never return to. At the very bottom, you find that letter again. The one they wrote, "We want things to be fair," before everything fell apart. You unfold it. You read it. You don't cry. You don't rage. You just sit with it. And then gently you refold it and place it in a small fireproof safe, alongside your mortgage paperwork, your birth certificate, your will. Not because it defines you, but because it reminds you what not to become. Later that evening, you have a few friends over for dinner. You make pasta, open a bottle of wine, light candles that smell like cedar wood and something vaguely citrusy. Someone compliments your home, says it feels rooted. You smile at that. Rooted. Not in guilt, not in obligation, just in you. Mainstream historical fact. The word home in Old English ham meant more than just a dwelling. It meant safety, belonging, sanctuary. Historians still debate whether the evolution of that word has diluted its power or made it more personal. But tonight, as laughter floats down your hallway and someone passes you a second slice of pie, you know what it means to you. It's not about the deed, not even the walls. It's about claiming your space, your voice, Your right to be whole even when others try to carve you down. You walk your guests to the door, hug goodbyes, step out onto your porch with a blanket draped over your shoulders, and look up at the stars. You're not the person who walked into that courtroom. You're not the person who waited for apologies that never came. You're someone who learned to choose themselves without apology, someone who made peace without permission. And in the echo of that stillness, in the soft creak of your porch swing, you hear the sound of something rare, healing. So now, as the night stretches deeper and your own home hums around you with that comforting mix of plumbing ticks and distant streetlights, let's slow down even more. Let's breathe in something softer, the hard edges of betrayal, the courtroom tension, the heaviness of familial expectation. They begin to dissolve gently, like sugar stirred into warm tea. That ache in your chest, it's not emptiness anymore. It's space, space you've made for yourself, for your future. You survived the storm and now you're living in the quiet after. The kind where you hear things again, like your own voice, your own thoughts, your own laugh echoing off kitchen tiles. You may still carry the bruise of that betrayal, but now it's faded. No longer red hot and raw, but something you touch only to remind yourself how far you've come. A mark of growth, not of weakness. And when you lie in bed tonight under soft blankets and ceiling shadows, you'll do so knowing that everything around you is yours, earned, fought for, loved, even the quiet, especially the quiet. So let your eyes close slowly. Let your breath deepen. Let the hum of the night tuck itself around you like a lullaby. Because this story, your story, didn't end in court filings or family silence. It began right here in the stillness that followed. Good night, explorer. Sleep deep. Dream wide.